Hello everyone, welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100. My name is Scott, also known as Cineram. I do videos here on Thursdays here in this collaboration channel. First, I just wanted to say thank you to Michael on a channel here on YouTube called Red Chair Diaries. He did a video response to last week's video that I did on Forbidden Planet. I appreciate that. We don't often get video responses here in this collab, so thanks very much, Michael. This week we're talking about box office flops, and I don't think there's been a bigger flop this year than John Carter. John Carter came out in March, I believe, and is a Disney film that Andrew Stanton directed. It was his first live-action film. He previously directed Finding Nemo and WALL-E for Pixar. And I like this movie a heck of a lot. I think it didn't deserve to be any kind of a flop, although there are a couple of good reasons why it was. First of all, it was a poorly marketed film. They decided not to call it John Carter of Mars, apparently because they were paranoid about movies being set on Mars failing. Like, for example, Mars Needs Moms, and there were a couple from 10 years ago that did badly. I don't see how that has anything to do with it. You know, I mean, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. People are, you know, the word's going to get out. But I guess it didn't in this case. They decided to shorten the title to simply John Carter, which was confusing, I think, for some people. I don't really know, but it didn't do very well at all. And since it cost $250 million budget, that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Fortunately, I think they made up for it somewhat with the Avengers. I'm not sure what exactly Disney's cut that movie was. Pardon the noise. There's some trees being ground up over here, there was also the detail that this novel that the film was based on, the series of books, is like 100 years old. So a lot of its innovative elements have been borrowed for a lot of other films, most notably Star Wars, Avatar. There are certain creature details and designs, I think, that have been borrowed for the things, details about the technology and about, oh, I don't know, Superman even, maybe? I'm not sure, really. But this movie doesn't look all that original after all those other movies that came out. But in fact, it's, you know, based on a novel that predates all those other films that drew inspiration from it. I think that it's a great kind of old-fashioned adventure. It's very lively. The effects are absolutely astonishing. It's just a beautiful-looking movie. Just a great story overall. It can get a bit complicated. But I think if you're paying attention, you know, you can, you know, catch on to what's going on without too much difficulty. I certainly did. And I never read the book. I didn't know hardly anything about the backstory. There's a few details that if you're planning on seeing the movie, you may want to familiarize yourself with ahead of time, just to kind of, you know, so you have some solid ground to start off with. First of all, Mars is not called Mars in this movie. It's called Barsoom. And this is appropriate, seeing as how the people who call this fourth planet in our solar system Mars are all on Earth. People who grew up on Mars, who lived on Mars, grew up on Mars, that whole culture, they didn't have access to anyone here on Mars, on Earth, I mean. So they wouldn't call Mars, they would give Mars their own name. In this case, it's called Barsoom. They have their own name for Earth, they have their own name for all the other planets in the solar system. So that's perfectly reasonable, aside from the fact that all these people are human-looking, for the most part, and speak English and breathe oxygen and, you know, everything like that. I mean, it's old science fiction, it's classic science fiction, so there weren't you know, a lot of concessions made to the types of creatures that would grow up in a Martian atmosphere. Not that anyone 100 years ago knew what a Martian atmosphere was actually like. The movie actually starts during World War II. The main character, John Carter, is a Confederate soldier who finds himself accidentally transported to Mars. And the density of his body apparently is lighter than other people on Mars, and so he's able to jump higher and travel great distances faster than a person who grew up and lived on Mars, or a native Martian, or native of Barsoom, I should say. So he has this ability that there's this war going on that everyone sort of wants him on their side. You have two different factions of humans or human-like creatures that are, you know, that are fighting over land, basically, or the sort of the bad guys of the group. They want to join up with the good guys by marrying the daughter. The book that this is largely based on is Princess of Mars, and the princess is basically the daughter of what they call the Jedak. of one tribe. Jeddak is sort of like a tribal leader, except it's more like, it's not just a tribe, it's like a whole kingdom, a whole city. So you have these two cities that are fighting each other, and each has their own Jeddak, as they say. And a Jeddak is actually also the leader of a tribe of not quite human characters called the Tharks. The Tharks are green, they have tusks, they're very tall, they have 4 arms apiece. The Jeddak for that tribe basically is voiced by Willem Dafoe, and he is in charge of sort of keeping all his people out of the conflict between the humanoids. But when John Carter sees what's going on, he says to the Tharks, look, you know, you need to sort of, you know, do what you can to prevent conflict from coming to your doorstep, because once they, you know, get rid of their enemies over in the human civilizations, they're going to come after the Tharks as well. There's also another race called the Thurn. This is important to distinguish between Tharks and Thurn. The Thurn are kind of like the Agent Smiths of Barsoom. They're sort of godlike creatures, angels or devil-like creatures that have extraordinary powers of transport and of weaponry, and they're basically Barsoom's version of the supernatural or godlike powers, and they have bestowed their energy and their weaponry upon the evil team. I wish I could remember exactly the names of the cities, but unfortunately it's been a couple of weeks since I've seen it on DVD. And they have to, they're fighting each other, and so the Thurn basically throw all their power behind one side, and it's up to the good guys on the other side to fight against them, even though they don't have the Thurn, and the Thurn are very, very powerful. The Thurn, the leader of the Thurn, the spokesman for the Thurn, is a guy who's played villains in a lot of different movies, most notably the first Sherlock Holmes movie. Oh boy, his name is Tom something. I'm having a lot of trouble remembering names now. One of the problems with the movie is that there's 2 actors who look very similar to each other, but they are fighting on opposite sides. So when one of them pops into the scene, it takes a minute for you to figure out, okay, which one is this guy again? So that's one little problem. But other than that, you know, it's a spectacular adventure, really, really lots of fun, and definitely worth a look if you like this kind of epic science fiction tale, which I certainly do, and it's one of the most enjoyable movies I've seen this year. I liked it more than The Avengers. The Avengers is lots of fun, of course. This one's actually a better film, I think. Yeah, I would recommend it. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention. At the end of the movie, when after the last scene, after the last shot is shown, you see this spacescape, and the title, John Carter, appears, and then below it the words "of Mars" appear, and I said, thank you very much, Andrew Stanton, for putting the real title for this movie on at the end. I know you couldn't put it on at the beginning, but at least you could put it on the end. You put it somewhere in the movie, call it John Carter of Mars, because that's what it's supposed to be called. So yeah, that is my theme review, and I would also like to mention that I've recently seen Killer Joe with Matthew McConaughey and Juno Temple, which is a really, really fun movie. And I just saw a documentary called Queen of Versailles, which is about a very wealthy couple in Orlando that was building an enormous house, a 90,000 square foot house, and then, you know, 2008 the market, you know, goes kerflooey, and suddenly they don't have income anymore, and the banks are being, you know, real jerks about, you know, letting them run their business and try and make money. Yeah, they've got this enormous house that they can't finish, and they have to lay off all kinds of staff on the house they're already living in, which means that the dogs are running around pooping everywhere, and there's trash everywhere, and you know, there's not enough people to actually manage the place because it's so big. I like both of these. But I like Killer Joe especially. It's a really kind of nasty piece of work, and great ending, really great ending as well. So that's what I've seen lately. I'm planning on seeing the Total Recall remake, comparing that with the original version, of course. I don't expect it to be better, but I need to sort of satisfy my curiosity. Even if I think it's not going to be that great, you know, there might be some good fights and chases and effects in there, you know, just to sort of yeah, I'm really, you know, it's kind of sad that I feel I have to see this movie, you know, but again, I'm not gonna stop wondering about it until I do, so I kind of got to get it over with. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Be sure and check out the other reviews. We've got a new theme starting tomorrow probably, so I hope you'll tune in for that. Thank you again. Bye.